Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is the 7th of July, 2025. It's 11 a.m. Central European Time, 10 o'clock in the UK, and probably a lot later wherever you are around the world. We have a busy show today. It's a Monday, so we're going to get into a lot of charts. But what we're going to do from this week onwards, there will be no explanations of what these charts are or anything else that we look at. We're just going to look at the charts and explain the directions that we're going to see. Retail clearly isn't back. Retail clearly aren't watching these streams or these videos. So I was just going to cut to the chase. If we do that, we're probably going to be able to get a lot more information into the show. So we've got the X-Files, we've got the charts. We are going to talk about whether we're going to moon in the second half of 2025. The answer, of course, should be yes. Are we going to see ETH to 6K? That's the next thing on the agenda. We're going to look at Golden CZ. There's an awful lot of rumors going around about golden visas. I'm going to tell you how they work because I know how they work. We're going to talk about July alt season, maybe. We'll have a look at that. We're going to look at Seize Me. I'm not going to tell you what that's about. And we're going to look at Drake the Dragon. That's my favorite one of the day. We've got all that to look at. We do it all in an hour. If you're new here, say hello in chat. Down below, type good morning or GM or something like that. Let me know you're here. This weekend, I made, I think, the record 5 videos I made yesterday. One for the OGs, which was about Tether. And then I made a couple of shorts about Maple. I made the Chronos Pulse. I did a short about BC Game. And then I did another one. Don't remember what that one was now. But I've done about 5 videos yesterday. And X was dead. I think everyone's just gone on their holidays, I think. Good morning to those of you that are in chat and are still here. I think Hidden Agendas is here. Bullish Bull is here. And Danny is here. Wow, it's so quiet. Is it a bank holiday somewhere? I don't know. Anyway, you will also see the morning crypto space does not have a quiz on it. We've done, I believe, 5 quiz nights on the trot. Now, there is a good chance this Wednesday we're going to have a different quiz and we'll do another one. But I haven't prepared anything. I'm going to see what's in the calendar and what we did last month and what we need to do this month. Now, we will probably do a Wolf Swap one in July. We'll probably do a Mew one in July. And then we're going to see what others we have to do. So we've got 2 nailed-on quizzes for July. But, of course, I think there's going to be, what, 4 Wednesdays in July? So maybe we'll sneak another one in. I don't know. We'll work it out. So anyway, should we get on and have a look and see what's happening in the markets? See where Bitcoin is, because Bitcoin is doing what Bitcoin does, which is not a lot. It's kind of wiggling around in the same bracket that we've been talking about for the last 3 months, maybe. Let's make sure this is loading up. It is perfect. Okay. So Bitcoin is coming in at 109. Now, many weeks I have been saying we need to hold 103,000. That is a key price for me, 103,000. My downside is 97,000. It may have moved. We're going to look at the Bitcoin chart tomorrow. Remember, if we don't do a Wednesday stream, I will probably stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. So if there's no streams on Wednesday night, I'll probably do a full 5 days this week. The Oracle was supposed to stream on Saturday and he couldn't make it. I think he's streaming tonight or tomorrow night. So we may get away with doing 7 streams this week, not 6. But we'll see. So Bitcoin coming in at 109. Ethereum just below 2,600. XRP back over 220. Solana back over 150. These are all good prices. Cardano is tickling the ivories of 60 cents. Again, I don't think hype is going to get there. I don't think it's going to catch Cardano, but I think we may see a breakaway underneath very soon. And what I mean by that is I think we're going to see a second tier of projects. So although I'm not expecting Hyperliquid to go to 30 billion, I am expecting Hype and Sui and Chainlink and Avalanche maybe, Ton even though Ton's been hammered on the news that we're going to cover. Hedera, maybe Litecoin, the coins that are going to have ETFs as well. I think they're going to have a split from the pack underneath. And what we might find is a pack of coins that are between 10 and 20 billion. But we shall see. Now, 24-hour gainers, we've got SPX, a coin that we kind of picked by default. We had to pick some coins to talk about, and the Oracle found SPX 6900 when it was before $1. We gave some prices to the upside. We gave some prices to the downside. If you followed him on his trading show, you'll have seen the price action for that. That's doing incredibly well. Celestia is up but dead. Okay, it's like the 28 years later corpse that stands up in the field. Okay, it's 166. It was $20. It's been hammered. It's down, 93%? Story is up. I wouldn't touch that. Floki is up. Decent coin. Aave, Doge, Hedera, Pepe. A few 4 or 5% gainers there. And not many losers. Pudgy's had a good week. It's simply retracing. Tony's down on the news that we're going to cover. Aerodrome at 70 cents, I think, is a really good price. I think Base is a chain that's going to generate a lot of revenue and fees. And Aerodrome is the numero uno base-based DEX over there. So Aerodrome, I'm a big fan of. And then pretty much that's it. Not many losers. So it's pretty good today. Pretty good. Fairly happy. Let's close that down with everything. Good morning, Mags. I hope I didn't miss anybody when I said good morning to everybody today. Right then. This is how it feels to me right now. Okay, this is how I feel. Because everybody in the world is telling me we're going to $130,000. And I'm sitting here waiting for a dip because I think we're going to go up, get rejected, and come straight back down. And there is a lot of news on the horizon that's going to get us to 130,000. But this is how I feel. So I feel a lot like I'm going to have to skip a little bit of this. I'll get done for copyright. So this is how I feel right now. I feel like the bear has just come and sat next to me, and it's looking at me, staring at me straight in the eyes and blinking. Okay, I don't know if it wants to eat me. I don't know if it wants to wait for me to finish fishing to eat what I catch, or whether it's already fed and it wants to have a rest. That's how I feel right now. There's a bear in the room with me right now. Okay, I don't know what the bear wants to do. I think if the bear goes to sleep or walks off, then I think we're safe. Otherwise, I think the bear's going to maul us. But again, I'm thinking that we're going to get rejected and come down. And everybody, Crypto Face, Crypto Banter, Georgia, all of them, all the permabulls and some of the not so permabulls are all calling for 130,000. I hope they're right. I hope we break 114,000. But I just think we've got a little bit more downside to go. Now then, there's a lot of really, really bullish Bitcoin news out there. A lot of it. And too much to put in. Good morning, Tariq. A lot of it. More people in America own Bitcoin than gold. That's probably the first one up. That is not surprising. Bitcoin is associated with the Robin Hoods of this world and all of these different apps, the Binance US app, etc. So I get that. People can just log onto a phone and buy $10. Nobody in the last 20 years has said, you know what I need to do? I need to go and get some modern technology and I need to buy some 4th century assets. Nobody says that anymore because everybody wants to go and buy Bitcoin. We know what happens when everybody buys Bitcoin, don't we? And we're going to get onto that a little bit in a minute because the acceleration of the depletion of Bitcoin on exchanges is getting quite frightening. I think we're now down to 2,040,000. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. But there was the ECC, the Ethereum Council Conference or something like that went on a few days ago. and they are targeting 10,000 TPS. The Ethereum Community Conference, they are targeting 10,000 TPS. Now, that might not sound an awful lot, but when you've got your layer 2s on top, your Optimisms, Arbitrums, Polygons sitting on top, rolling up all of the transactions and them adding to them to Ethereum, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see that Ethereum isn't scaling to process 10,000 transactions directly. It's scaling to process 10,000 transactions of different rolled up transactions, which is a lot more transactions than 10,000. This is Crypto Face, who is Mr. Bear, Mr. Bull, depending on the time of the week. Everyone was so bearish in the last few weeks, but we saw the light, and now it's just only begun. Only just begun. Massive pump this week, new all-time high incoming for Bitcoin. Again, I'm going to show you tomorrow the two different price targets. Now, again, everything is on a knife edge. There's rumours over the weekend that Chairman Powell and the Fed are going to cut rates 3 times this year. Now, that's going to mean probably July, maybe September, maybe November, maybe September, maybe October. There's going to be 3 rate cuts. Now, Matthew Hyland, okay, he is quite a sensible chap. He is quite a sensible chap. And he has given it to Powell both barrels, talking about fear-mongering with Powell and the experts, saying that there was fear in the market that did not happen. If you want somebody to blame for the mass hysteria and fear in Q2, blame Jerome Powell. It was never tariffs as shown. He should be relieved of his duties over it. He manufactured chaos. Something he kept saying would happen did not. He drove the mass fear. He should be held accountable. Now, that's a very surprising comment from Matthew. I'll say that. Now, do I agree with it? Yes, I do. Why do I agree with it? Because I think that the meeting that Powell had with Trump, I think Trump explained to him in very simple terms, this is how I negotiate. I break the eggs and then I make the omelette. And these tariff wars that are going on at the minute with China and the UK and Europe, they are going to be short-lived, and they are there to shock the market into giving me what is best for America. That's what I think Trump probably told Powell. And Powell got that information and walked away. And then, subsequently, didn't cut rates. And then Trump started to call him a loser, started to call him various different names. Why would he do that? He would do that because he understands that he's already told Powell the game plan, and Powell has ignored it. So now Trump is going after Powell, and I don't blame him. I am completely on board with it. Now, when you start to see people like Matthew Hyland go after Powell, you realise there is something wrong, and you realise that maybe all of this fear that was fed into the markets and all of these people told you was going to kill the economy, kill the world economy. Who told you that that was never going to happen? Who told you this was going to be short-lived and over in a matter of weeks? I did. How many other people told you that this was going to be short-lived? I don't know many. I don't know many people that said this would be short-lived. Why? Bears were in chat telling me, Kabir was here telling me that this was going to send Bitcoin to $12,000. Never happened, did it? We did come to 76,000, yes. But I said it was going to be short-lived, and we're at 109,000. We're $2,000 away from all-time high. We're 1% away from all-time high. And you had people telling you that this was the end of the global economy as we know it. It never happens the way that you are told. And that's what you need to understand. If there's one thing you take away from ever watching me, it's not to believe everything you are told by the media. It doesn't mean they're always wrong, but don't believe everything is gospel. The same when somebody tells you something. Michael Saylor tells you that Bitcoin is going to $10 million. Do you know how much money Master would have, or Strategy, would have if it was at $10 million? Do you know how much money Cathie Wood would have if it got to $2.3 million? They'd all be incredibly rich. So whose interest is it in to tell you about these prices? Rich Dad Poor Dad is the same. I could easily sit here and say I'm going to $1 million this cycle. And if everybody tells you that and you hold for $1 million, Everybody out there that's been telling you it's going to $1 million will be selling at $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, and then you'll be holding your bag of $1 million going, where's my $1 million Bitcoin? Or my $50,000 Ethereum, or my $250 XRP. They tell you a price that they're going to sell before they get to, so you are the exit liquidity and you don't dump the price before they can. Now, I added this. This was breaking news. This was an hour ago. CoreDAO is going to launch a Bitcoin yield app today. I've been telling you, again, I don't tell you these things for the good of my health. I've been telling you about CoreDAO for weeks, if not months. I've made videos about CoreDAO. Now, one thing I will say, it's very difficult to get your assets onto the CoreDAO blockchain. It's not easy. That's the one thing they need to work on, okay? Now, there are companies, Maple Finance tap into CoreDAO, Lombard, I think, are going to be doing something with CoreDAO as well, even though they're on Babylon. There's a lot of interest about CoreDAO. There's millions and millions of wallets associated with CoreDAO. Now, why am I so bullish on CoreDAO? I've said this before. It's non-custodial staking. You keep your Bitcoin in your wallet. You do not ever hand over the keys to your Bitcoin when you use CoreDAO. Okay? Now, how do you benefit? You buy Core tokens. You go to the CoreDAO website. You stake your CoreDAO tokens. You stake your Bitcoin. And there is a calculation where you get 0.2 or 3% on your Bitcoin yield if it's below, and you get about 6 or 6.2% if it's above. It's a really simple calculation. You can do it on the website. But they're going to launch something today, and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting for this, because I would love nothing more to be an ambassador of CoreDAO. I'm not. I have no association with them. The same as why I have no association with Compute 3 AI. I've got no association with them. But I love their product, and I don't just sit here and talk about things that I'm paid to talk about. That's not how we work. Of charty stuff. To get coffee. Why do I do this on a Monday morning? I hear you ask. I have no idea. I just think that doing this on a Friday is probably the worst day of the week to do it, because you want to go into the weekend with a clear mind. And I think Monday is the day that you should be brutal with yourself. So, what's coming up this week? Nothing today. Nothing on Tuesday. The minutes of the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. This is where we'll probably find out how many people voted to put the rates, drop the rates, and how many people wanted to hold. So we're going to find that out on Wednesday. If it was really close, I can't remember how many people are on the committee, if it's 7 or something like that, or 9. But if it was 5-4 or 6-5 or something like that, that's going to be bullish for the market. That means that the Fed are really close to flipping. So that's that one. Thursday, jobless claims. Meh. Friday, meh. So this week, I think we're safe. Next week, we have on Tuesday. Hang on. I'm a bit confused. This seems to be this week's major UK economic reports and Fed speakers. Next week's, that says the 7th, the 9th. They've got the dates wrong. I think they've actually got the website wrong. Right, I think this is the 14th, the 15th, and the 16th, I would imagine. And that's where we get the core CPI. So that's we're going to find out how inflation is doing in the US. I think we're there with everything. Something to bear in mind about this cycle compared to last cycle. Let me just go full screen for 1 second. I want to talk to you about this, because this is fairly important to understand. Good morning, Simon. No, I didn't, Simon. I was in bed. Do you know how much sleep I need to look this good? Hours. Hours of sleep I need to look this good, okay? I am 600 years old, and I haven't got a wrinkle on my head thanks to the lighting and camera and modern technology that we have. Right then. This is something really important, okay? In 2021, we had a different global economic situation than we had now. We had really low interest rates. We had really high inflation. We had the pandemic. We were in a different world 4 years ago. different world. Inflation was going to skyrocket, and Bitcoin still got to $69,000. And it did it against a headwind because people weren't going to work. People weren't leaving the house. There was no economic activity. Yes, money was being pumped in, printed and being pumped in. And yes, that helped us to get to the second high. But that was then. So we had low interest rates, high inflation, and Bitcoin still got to 69,000. What do we have now? We have high interest rates, which means what? They're going to come down. We have really low inflation. We have Trump and his pro-America stance. We have the money supply about to explode. We have the S&P at all-time highs. The S&P wasn't really at all-time highs back then, but it did go a lot higher, but it not where we are now. We're in a stronger economy than we are 4 years ago. So because Bitcoin got to 69,000 in the headwind of everything that happened, imagine what's going to happen this time. And this is my bull case. We get 3 rate cuts this year. Inflation stays low. Money printer gets turned on. Trade deals are all agreed with China and everybody else. We have clear seas. We have clear seas. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to go to $500,000, but we're certainly going to 150, 140, somewhere in that region from where we are now. And what's that? 40% increase. So I think we're going to do it. And I think it's a different world. When we were looking at where we were 4 years ago and comparing it to now, it's, as I said a minute ago, it's 2 different worlds. We're in a different world. If I'd have said to you 6 years ago, you're going to be made to stay in your house for a year and you're not allowed to go out and you can't travel and you have to walk around a line in a shop, you'd think I was reading you a George Orwell novel. That's what happened. We don't have that anymore. It's gone. So I expect bigger and better this cycle than last cycle. And yes, the market cap of Bitcoin is a lot higher. Yes, but we've also got institutional adoption. There isn't enough Bitcoin to go around. We have mass treasury adoption of Bitcoin. We've got Elon Musk and his crazy American party. We've got all of these things. We've got Trump. Powell might be bundled into the back of the van and taken off to a darkened cell. You know, all these things. So I think we're in a different place. So I would expect more from Bitcoin than I expected last time. Now, this is, as far as I'm aware, hang on a minute. We don't want that on the chart. There we go. This is the DXY, and I think we may have bounced. Maybe we have bounced. Now, there's a lot of talk about some Japanese pension fund losing $61 billion because they invested in the dollar and the dollar has come down and yada, yada, yada. They won't be talking about how much money they've made when the DXY is back up here, will they? Always negative news. It's just a cycle. You can go back. We say this every week. You can go back over as much as you want. We're back at the range we were at here. And you remember what happened here? This was 2020. This was before the COVID panic, and then dollar came out of it and went ramping up there. So expect something similar to happen on the DXY. I think we're going to bounce. We're in a good range. I don't think 97 is especially. I thought we'd get to 100. We got to 97. I think we're in a good range. I think we might bounce. I think when the trade deal, because the trade deal with China is probably the big one, I think when that gets settled, then I think we can all stop talking about tariffs and we can take that out of our equation. I think as well the effect it has on the market has dampened somewhat because it got hit so hard by Trump. Now then, this, when it finishes loading, is the DXY. And again, 65%. Why does it keep loading? Get rid of that. This is the DXY. Again, I have drawn my Bob Ross. Did I draw a happy face up there? Yes. There's my happy face or my sad face, whichever way you want to look at it. We're still going, 65.2%. I think I said 66% we'd maybe top out at, but I also said we'd top out at 62. I also said we'd top out at 64. I don't think this is ever going to stop. There is an argument to be made that there's going to be no major alt season. There is that argument to be made. And as the market matures, maybe the ETFs replace. Everyone talks about BlackRock buying Bitcoin. BlackRock isn't buying Bitcoin. People are buying Bitcoin through BlackRock. So when people talk about retail coming back, maybe they're already back. Maybe they're buying their Bitcoin through BlackRock. Maybe they're getting it through ARK Invest. Maybe that is retail. The same with Ethereum. So maybe we don't get an alt season. Maybe we get alt seasons for the ETFs. I've said this a few times. That is a possibility. But we're at 65.2%. And I don't think anything on the horizon is going to stop us. I think Bitcoin is going to cannibalize everything in some way, shape or form. Now, of course, if it drops, let's say it goes from 65 to 62, of course, that 3%, 5% move down, that's going to pump the alts. Loads of people are calling for a mini alt season right now. That could very well happen. Total market cap of crypto, again, we're following this path. I need to get that to stop appearing. I think we are in this little pattern that I drew on here, probably last week or the week before. We're in this kind of range, which is doing this. And we could even go a little bit higher and then come down. Remember, I think we're going to have a pump and then a dump. So I think we could follow that. I think we're still on for that. So I think we're still going to go up. I'm still thinking we're going to have a summer lull. Remember, everyone keeps saying, July is we've never had a red July, is what they tell you. There's always a first time for everything. We can have a red July. We can wick up in the next week or two, top out, and then we can come down. Nothing is without exception. You can always get a red July. It doesn't mean anything. There's no hard and fast law that says just because we haven't done something doesn't mean it can't happen again. That's the way to look at it. Right. Now, again, this is one of the annoying flaws of TradingView is when you delete something like that, it never goes away. Right. This is the altcoins, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And again, we're in an okay place. I'm not, until we see Bitcoin breaking down, I'm not holding out much hope. I think it's a good time to accumulate alts that you like. I don't mean risky alts, but I made a video yesterday. That was the third video I made, actually. I made a video picking 3 meme coins to look at. If you haven't got any meme coins by the end of this bull run, my 3 picks at this moment in time, or maybe SPX has got to come off now. It's had a bit of a pump. But SPX, just because the price action is so good, I don't own any. Bonk looks like it's going to have a good bull run, back up to 1.7 billion. I don't own any. And Mu because it's been there, it's done that. And when alts pump, even if Mu goes to 2 billion, it's done an 8x. I think Bonk could do a 5 or 6x. SPX, God knows what that could do, 5 or 6x as well. So I think there is a distinct possibility that we can see a few meme coins doing well. I'm not in the camp of Murad. Murad has said it's Bitcoin and memes. I think even Dan Crypto Trades has said the same thing. Don't buy anything, just buy Bitcoin and memes. I'm never going to suggest that. Now, this blue line that you can see here, I think I've shown this a few times. So this line here, where I am, that is when Trump won the election. And I haven't brought this up for a few weeks, so I'll go over it. This is when he won the election. There was 2.95 million Bitcoin on exchanges when Trump won the election. 2.95. And today, there is 2.41. So 530,000 Bitcoin has gone in 7 months. That is unsustainable. And you can clearly see it's fallen off the edge of a cliff. And again, I'm not going to bring this up every week, but what's the importance of this? When we break below 2 million, it's going to be all over the news. It's going to be all over the news. There's less than 2 million Bitcoin left on exchanges. And to people that don't understand Bitcoin, they're going to think, well, that's not a lot of Bitcoin. 2 million isn't a lot. It's still 10% of the supply. But they're going to say, oh, maybe we should go and buy some Bitcoin. Then FOMO kicks in. There are people out there, lots of rich people out there, who are going to say the word, I need to go and get myself a Bitcoin. Now, if 500,000 people around the world all say, I'm going to go and get myself one Bitcoin, that is going to reduce the supply by 20%, which is going to push the price up even higher. So maybe these people who are talking about a 3 or 4, 500,000 Bitcoin, maybe they're all right, and maybe I am wrong. I am happy to be wrong. I would rather be happy wrong than sad right. Okay? I, in fact, will wear a t-shirt that will say happy wrong when this happens. But let's say in a universe where Rich Dad Poor Dad is right and Michael Saylor is right, let's say in that universe we break 2 million and we start to go down and it's all over the news and we do get 2, 3, 400,000 rich people saying I want to buy one Bitcoin. That is going to compound the effect of what is going on right now. And that's going to push the price ever so higher. And the issue is that these people buying are never going to sell because it becomes a status symbol. You become a whole coiner. And how does it become a status symbol? People are going to tell you it's a status symbol. The same way as holding a Bored Ape or owning a Rolex or owning a Ferrari, they're all status symbols. I own a Bitcoin. I own a Ferrari. I own a Rolex. And when you get to that stage, they're not going to sell it. You could lose 1 million Bitcoin tomorrow to millionaires that all want to own a single Bitcoin, okay? And you know what will happen then? There will be clubs for whole coiners, okay? If you've got a whole coiner, you can come into the club. Think Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, the stock price, I think it was about 800,000 or 900,000 before he retired. I don't know what it is now. Maybe it's millions. Holding one share in his company, Berkshire Hathaway, got you a ticket to his conference where you could go along. I think it was in Davos or somewhere. You could go along, you could listen to him speak. Status symbol, owning one share in Berkshire Hathaway. Status symbol, Rolex. Status symbol, holding a Bitcoin. Now, you don't have to hold a whole Bitcoin. You can own 1/100th or 1/10th of a Bitcoin. And you will do really well watching all of these millionaires come late to the party and pay $200,000, $300,000 for a Bitcoin. But this chart on here is, if you look at any chart, I would look at this one, the supply. Think toilet rolls 4 years ago. That's what I would say. Because toilet rolls 4 years ago were just, they went up 20x in price overnight. People were paying, 10 or 20 times the price of toilet roll 4 years ago during the pandemic. It was incredible. Now then, I suppose we should move on before I carry on ranting too much. Simon Kelly says, I look fantastic. It's filters. Lots and lots of filters. The reason my computer runs so slowly is because of the filters. If I turn the filters off, I'm like one of those women on TikTok that's like 800 years old, and you turn the TikTok filter on and she becomes a 25-year-old blonde. That's me. Anyway, I suppose we should get on with this. Bitcoin bulls, a definite breakout to several new all-time highs. I think we're definitely going to see it. If we go to the end of the bull run, which I think is in November, we're going to see a new all-time high. It's as simple as that. Maybe 150,000. According to CNBC, large firms have already begun piling more of the crypto onto their balance sheets, while Capitol Hill inches closer to passing long-delayed legislation. Now, one other thing that I don't think I've included in this stream. Have I? Oh, no, I have. It's an article. We'll talk about it in a minute. Price has gone up 30% in Q2. That's not the end of it. I think once we start to see the interest rate cuts, we're going to go higher. Bitcoin Staying above 100,000 since May the 9th is keeping bulls aggressive. The coin traded at 108,000 on Sunday, 3% short of the May high of 111,999. I don't think it was that. I think it was a little bit. I think it was 111,700 or something like that. But basically, my stop is 103,000, not 100, 103,000. Now, the reason for that is really simple. When you go to buy or sell your Bitcoin, you should never say, I want to buy Bitcoin at 100,000. I never want to sell Bitcoin at 125,000 because this is a perfect example here. The price went to, according to CoinGecko, 111,999. So if you had a sell order at 112,000, it didn't fill. So what you should do is you say, I want to sell my Bitcoin at 130,000. You should put a sell price of 127,000 in, 128,000 in. It's 1% away. And I think 103,000 is the bottom. I think the buy orders, from what I remember, were about 102 to 103,000. So, and again, I think there's also buy orders at 97,000. So it's very rare that you fill an order at those prices. Yes, there are wicks that will take you to 112 and then come back down again. Yes, there's wicks to the downside that fill. But that's why they fill and bounce back, because all of those orders fill. But me and the Oracle have talked about this for ages. If we want to buy Bitcoin, we're going to buy it at 103,000, not 100. If we're going to sell Bitcoin, we're going to sell it at 147,000, not 150,000. It just puts you ahead of the pack. So if I said to you, do you want a 100% chance of selling your Bitcoin at 147,000? Or do you want a 20% chance of selling your Bitcoin at 150,000? You should probably take the 147,000 offer because you're guaranteed it. You see it on game shows all the time. Do you want to walk away with $10,000 or do you want a 50-50 gamble on $100,000? And a lot of sensible people will take the $10,000, and quite rightly. Now, public companies are set up for massive Bitcoin inflows. Again, I said this the other week. We counted up the amount of Bitcoin that these companies wanted to buy, and it was hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. Unfortunately, I don't think all of these Bitcoin strategies are going to be played out because they're never going to buy enough. They're never going to own enough. Michael Saylor is probably never going to get to 1 million Bitcoin. The only one I think's got a chance of getting to 1 million Bitcoin is BlackRock, because it has all of the buying power of everybody that's buying through it. But that buying power is going to push us higher. Kendricks estimate Bitcoin could reach 135,000 by the end of Q3. I would be delighted with that, and finish the year at 200,000. He expects that once investors stop worrying about another cycle repeat, the crypto will keep rising once market concerns about this have passed. Now, again, that is probably the most salient point. Where is it? There. That's the bit. That is the most salient point of everything I've probably read in a few weeks. Once investors stop worrying about cycle repeat, crypto will keep rising. What does he mean by that? Very simply put, I'm telling you November will be the all-time high. And then I'm going to tell you that we were going to have a recession next year. Polymarket had a recession at 85, 88% for a recession next year. It's now 22%. You've got members of the American administration coming out and saying we're getting no recession. If there's no recession next year, and I have to change my opinion based on fact, if there's no recession next year and Donald Trump starts buying Bitcoin, I don't think November is the end of the bull run. And I don't think we're going to see the cycle carry on the way it's carried on. I think the cycles have got us to where we are, and then I think it's like handing over the baton. The baton has been handed over to the men in suits. No asset in history, this is the other bull case argument, no asset in history has ever gone above $2 trillion and disappeared. So your Bitcoin is safe. We've got to the point of mass adoption with institutions. Governments are onboarding it more and more. What's going to cause us to go to $69,000, $70,000 again? If we do go to 200, 300,000, what's going to bring us down that amount? I don't think we are. I think we then get tied into the economic cycle, not the Bitcoin cycle. And the Bitcoin cycle might just add more fuel to the fire without actually putting the fire out. So I'm still going to go for November for the all-time high, because that is probably going to be the end of the cycle. Do I think that we could keep going into next year? At this moment in time, I'm probably in favor of us carrying on. But I did say, in my defense, this cycle I will not sell my Bitcoin. And I did say, I don't know, maybe a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, that I was selling everything. And I changed my opinion, and I'm not going to sell Bitcoin anymore. I am not selling my Bitcoin. I am probably going to stake my Bitcoin, because staking my Bitcoin at a $200,000 or $150,000 Bitcoin is going to make me a decent return. So I don't want to sell it. Ethereum price to hit $6,000 this year. Analysts make a bold call. ETH could surge past 6,000 if it breaks this resistance. Again, these are why? Okay, why Microsoft? I don't even know what browser I'm using. Which programmer decided that highlighting black on white would make it white on yellow? Who decided that was a good idea? ETH could surge past 6,000. No, we don't. This is like what do you call it? The Teletubbies. You don't go above 6,000 if we break this resistance. I did say when we get the staking rewards for ETH, we're going to go over 3,000. I was saying that when we were a lot lower than we are now. I think we're going to go between 3,000 and 3,500 with staking. Now, if we can do that in July, absolutely fantastic. Can we then go to 6,000 after that? Well, if Bitcoin, I'm thinking, can do another 40% from here, can we go from 3,500 to 6,000? What's that? That's probably an 80% rise in Ethereum with staking, with the amount that's being bought up. I think it's on the cards. I think I even had higher targets for Ethereum. I think I had 8,000 to 10,000 for my target for Ethereum. So I think we can get towards 6,000. I don't think we're going to do it overnight, which is where I don't like comments like that. I don't like a comment that says if we go above $5, we're going to $50. I don't like comments like that. I think it gives unrealistic expectations. I think if we can get to $3,000 to $3,500 on Ethereum, it's a great position to be in. Again, we're going to look at some charts tomorrow. We're not doing it all in one go. In a recent breakdown, Westladd explained that Ethereum's price action since its 4,850 all-time high has formed a giant consolidation pattern. According to him, this structure is now approaching a critical inflection point known as Wave D, testing its upper boundary. At the same time, a bullish inverse head and shoulders is emerging on the daily chart, which with the neckline acting as stubborn resistance near 2,855. Again, with the thing I like about Ethereum, the thing with Ethereum is it's got really lovely price action. 2.5, 2.2, 1.8, 1.6, 1.4, 3, 3.2, 3.4. Lovely price action. You can pick it. You can absolutely pick it. And it responds really well. You put a Fibonacci levels all over Ethereum and it's beautiful. Of the biggest coins, it's the one that I think holds true to the Fib levels. And it's great because you can pick the targets it's going to go to and come down to. Over the weekend... sorry, not over the weekend. About 10 days ago, I said that syrup would come down to 49 cents. 44 to 49 cents would be the price to buy syrup. It wicked down to 49.16, which was the fib level on a smaller hourly chart. So I was out by 0.2 cents of the top of the range. It's now since gone to 55, 56 cents. It's likely to break 60. Then it's going to go to 64, I think. It honors the fib levels really, really well, like Ethereum. I think a $6,000 Ethereum is possible, and I absolutely agree $10,000 next year. If I'm wrong, happy wrong. That might be my new slogan, happy wrong. If I'm happy wrong, great. Don't celebrate yet. However, if ETH faces rejection, we could come down. I don't believe that we're going to come down to $1,400 to $1,800, a 40% collapse. There's nothing wrong with us wicking below 2,000. We could go to $1,800. Yep, we could wick down there. Very similar to when Bitcoin went to 76,000. Looking back, I'd say the tariff fiasco, I'd say it was a black swan. If you look at the price action of what Bitcoin did, it went from 100 and whatever it went to, came all the way down to 76. It was a 30% correction, almost. Not almost to a T, but pretty much 28, 29%. It was a black swan. If we get another black swan on Ethereum, you work out $2,600, take away 30%, rule of thumb, whatever you want to call it, is about, what, 800? That brings us down to $1,800. So I think we could go to $1,800 if there's a bad reaction. If something happens in the market, then absolutely we can go down there. But you know what? I'm bullish on Ethereum. I've been bullish on Ethereum forever and a day. Been bullish on Bitcoin, bullish on XRP, bullish on Cardano. I backed those horses 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm not going to stop. Right then, let's move on very quickly. Now, there is some, what should we call it? There is some confusion. Ton came out and said that they were going to get golden visas to move, was it to, United Arab Emirates, okay? And then United Arab Emirates and said there's no official agreement in place for this. Golden visas, how do I say this without sounding really terrible? If you're a country and you want rich people to move to your country, you have to get them to prove that they are rich. And you can do it in multiple ways. If you want to get citizenship or a visa for El Salvador, you give $1 million to El Salvador and they will give you a visa. If you want to go and live in Turkey, I think it's $200,000 or $300,000. If you want to go and live in Portugal, I think the Portugal one is coming to an end. You have to spend 300,000 euros on a house, I think. And then you can go and live there and have a visa. And I think that one's been done away with. Golden visas are something that rich people use to become domiciled in a different country, maybe a more tax efficient country. So the UAE has golden visas. Guess what? The UK also has golden visas. And it's not as much as you think. And if you are a very, very rich individual, you can talk to HMRC in the UK and you can get yourself a golden visa where you pay a flat rate of tax every year and nobody knows about it, nobody talks about it. Keir Starmer never mentions it, Tony Blair never mentions it. Why? Because they are billionaires and multi-millionaires that get these golden visas to the UK. Everyone's at it. Everybody is at it. It's just in the UK, they've got a posh accent and they wear a suit. In the UAE, they don't wear suits and have posh accents, but they're very business-minded people. Everybody's got a golden visa. There may not be an official partnership, but CZ is actually right. But then again, Anatoly would be right. Vitalik would be right. If you came along and said, right, how much is the UAE golden visa? $200,000. You could turn around and say, okay, you need 100 Ethereum to get a golden visa in the UAE. And he'd be right. Ton took the statement down because it's not an official partnership. So don't necessarily read all of these things. The Ton Foundation have partnered with a company in the UAE to get golden visas. They haven't partnered with UAE. They've partnered with a company in the UAE that get you golden visas. These things have been going on for years. People are sounding shocked in chat as if it's some major event. That the price being down at 285 is utterly ridiculous. Okay, you're going to get some cheap ton. I'd get it now. So yeah, don't believe everything you read. It's just crap. At the end of the day, it's just crap. Golden visas have been around for, I don't know, as long as visas have been around. It's just a way. It's like, how can we make a load of money? I think Trump has one, doesn't he? Isn't Trump's $1 million, or is it $5 million? If you want a visa to go and live in America today, Trump launched his golden visa. Everybody does it. Anyway, a crypto catalyst for Jubilant July. Altcoins will likely cook for the next few weeks. Well, that's not the only thing cooking. I have been cooking for the last 2 weeks in this heat wave, and I tell you what, it's not a pretty sight. A crypto strategist with a history of timely Bitcoin calls believes that the digital asset market will flourish this month Pentoshi, who I like very well. I've talked to him a couple of times over the years. Didn't realise he was up to 870,000 followers, though. He sees the crypto markets rallying this month amid a slew of bullish catalysts. It's the start of a new quarter and a new month. It's jubilant July. I gotta say, I feel extremely refreshed for the first time in a long time with all the positives happening. Stablecoin legislation is moving forward. More rails are being connected with traditional finance, banks and consumers. Crypto will continue to grow as a focus in global markets. Let's not forget, fiscal and monetary tailwinds are coming. Precisely. The market has for now failed to prove a bullish bias to be incorrect. When there is FUD, it V reverses into new highs each time, no matter how extreme the FUD. This happened in 2021 and 2017 as well. What would happen is you would see Bitcoin really, really move. I went for a walk in the November, maybe October in 2021. Went for a walk to Europa Point where you can see Morocco and all those good things. And that walk to Europa Point and back, I think it was about a 45-minute hour walk. My portfolio had gone up $50,000 in that time. The market moves that quickly. Your dopamine rush from this impending bull run is going to make you giddy, but you have to take profits. If you're up a 10x or a 6x, take some money off the table. Because when we correct, as we will do in the bull run, you don't want to be scared that it's going to come straight back down. Just take a little bit of profit off the table. The largest economy in the world is openly discussing lowering interest rates, which is in this instance would likely stoke inflation and growth. So again, we're not going to read all of this out. He thinks that the altcoin market is going to benefit. I do. The question is really, if you've got Bitcoin and you've got, let's say, Solana, at this moment in time, which is likely to run higher, percentage-wise, over the next 6 months? I would argue Solana. And the reason I would argue Solana is I can see Solana going to $600, and it's at 150, so it's a 4x. I can't see Bitcoin going to $400,000 from where we are now. So you got to play a game of when do you invest in alts? Well, ideally when Bitcoin dominance starts to break down, but it hasn't done. Is $150 for Solana a good price? Well, if it goes to $300, it's a 100% profit. Is Bitcoin likely to go to $200,000? Not too sure. I'd still be more sure about $300 Solana because of the ETF and the staking. So you've got to kind of weigh up in your head which is going to give you the biggest return. The big alts, maybe the alts that have got ETFs on the horizon, the XRPs, the Solanas, the Cardanos, are they going to run in the next 6 months harder than Bitcoin? And I think for all of the top 10, apart from maybe BNB, the answer is yes. I wouldn't have said that maybe a year or two ago. That would have been an accumulation. Buy them at the cheaps, buy them at $50, Solana at $50, $60. Yes, XRP was at 60 cents. Cardano was at 20 cents, 18 cents. That was the time to really accumulate. But right now, apart from maybe dollar cost averaging to Bitcoin every week, you should maybe be looking at alts on the side. But maybe look at the big alts, not the little alts. Right, Secret Service holds 400 million in seized cryptocurrency. What time is it, by the way? Have I overrun? We've got 7 minutes left. Altcoin Villain Bear. The bear has arrived. Why is stream on Binance repeating everything twice? I have no idea what you mean. Good morning, Villain Bear. Rest of the alts are going down. I don't think it's top 10. I think if you were going to be hypercritical, I would argue that you should be buying ETF only alts. That's what I would argue. If you're going to be hyper critical, I would say Chainlink isn't in the top 10. That's going to get an ETF. Hedera isn't in the top 10. That's going to get an ETF. So if you're going to be hyper critical and go off the thesis that retail are here, but they're buying through BlackRock, look at what is being bought at the minute, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum's ETF is doing exceptionally well, but nobody talks about it because of the way that Bitcoin is going. Bitcoin's a bigger asset. It's going to have more inflows. But you look at it, Solana, XRP, Hedera, Cardano, Litecoin, AVAX. I don't know if there's a few others that are going to be listed. Maybe 15 coins, so more than the top 10. I would say look at those. Look at the ISOs as well, the ISO 9000 tokens that are going to be adopted by the banking system. That could be another thing to look at. But I don't think it's just going to be the top 10, because the top 10 isn't the top 10, is it? You've got two stable coins in there, so that's 8. You've got Bitcoin in there and Ethereum in there, so you can remove that. So you're looking at 6 coins. I would look a little bit further afield than just those 6. Now, I've got a theory that the Secret Service is going to put this $400 million of seized assets, and I think they're going to be added to the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. That is all I will say of that. And I think if I was Donald Trump, remember Donald Trump wants a net zero strategic Bitcoin reserve, which means it doesn't cost the American public any money to build that strategic reserve. And I think seized cryptocurrency, I think that's going to be used in the strategic reserve. At number 2, I think between now and the end of the year, America is going to announce that they have been buying Bitcoin or converting stolen, seized crypto into Bitcoin. And I think they're going to announce that they've already got 200,000, 300,000 Bitcoin. I think that's going to be the announcement that absolutely rockets us, because the second the American government start buying Bitcoin, that's game over, probably for the bull run, end of the bull run. It'll just continue because the American government are going to be buying Bitcoin for the next 3.5 years. So why is it going to go down? So I think it's going to be converted into Bitcoin and added to the strategic Bitcoin reserve, and I think that's wholly right. I mean, $400 million worth of Bitcoin isn't a lot. What is it? 4,000 Bitcoin. They want 1 million. It's not even a dent, but it's a start. Right then, we're going to move on because I don't want to run out of time. Now, I have looked up 2 things. Number 1, I don't know who Drake is. Okay? And I don't care who he is. That's the second important thing to bear in mind. However, I have found out that Smorg was a fire drake, and that drakes are another word for a dragon. So I can only imagine that this man has some kind of relation to a dragon. You may know who this person is. I don't know him from Adam. Drake drops new single comparing fake friends to Bitcoin's brutal price swings. There isn't even a picture of him. I don't even know what he looks like. Drake, whoever he is. Drake is a renowned rapper and Bitcoin enthusiast who has dropped a new single ahead of an album release with lyrics referring to the volatile nature of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. Mainstream media, that's what we want, and mainstream music. The single was released at a time when Bitcoin's future remains uncertain. Who wrote this? Troy. What are you talking about? What are you going on about? Particularly regarding regulatory support from the US government. Troy, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's a $2 trillion asset class, you clown. It could very well reach an all-time high in the coming months. Drake's new single addresses themes of betrayal, fake friends, and conflict. The single, What Did I Miss?, has been released ahead of an up-and-coming album. Bitcoin traders have taken a keen interest in the album due to its lyrics. The new single references Drake's ongoing feud with Kendrick Lamar. Now, I've heard of Kendrick Lamar. Still don't know what he looks like. Drake refers to his conflict with Lamar as being similar to the price volatility of Bitcoin, which can fluctuate significantly from one day to the next. Drake is also a keen gambler and has been referred to as the Drake curse due to his unfortunate picks. Well, there we go. When you've got enough money to be that rich, he doesn't really care, does it? I know Michael Jordan was also a very big gambler at the time. I don't know who these people are. You know what? I don't care. I have a very unpopular opinion, by the way, about the Oasis gig. It's nearly 12 o'clock. I've done it. So Oasis performed on Saturday in Cardiff. Oasis, band from the 90s, of course, band from Manchester. Lots of stories about them that we're not going to go into on here. My unpopular opinion is this. There are no good bands left. So when the oldies that can actually play a guitar, a bass and drums, when the oldies come out to play and people go, oh my God, that's amazing. It's not. They can just play their instruments. There are very few mainstream people. There are very few people these days who are any good. Ed Sheeran. You go to an Irish bar, any Friday or Saturday night, you'll find 20 Ed Sheerans in that city performing. He's nothing special. Taylor Swift. What does she do? What does she do? She prances around. Doesn't really do anything. Maybe she's a good lyricist. So when you've got Oasis, who come from the same part of Manchester that I do, perform in front of that many people and that good, you're going to go, oh my God, they're amazing. That performance on Saturday was identical to the performance I saw in 1997. I saw Guns N' Roses. I saw Pearl Jam. I saw Soundgarden. I saw Faith No More. I saw, who else did I see that was any good? Fun Living Criminals. Every one of them could play every instrument. Great lyricists, could play music. Pink Floyd. And nowadays, you are fed mainstream tripe. It's like fast food. Fast food years ago was fish and chips. Nowadays, it's just pumped full of crap. Okay? The music you get nowadays is garbage. And I know when I was growing up, everybody said the same thing. Oh, this 80s and 90s music, it's all crap. They all wear flares, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Smiths, Oasis, Stone Roses, Pink Floyd, Iron Maiden, Metallica. Nothing's come close in 30 years because they killed the music industry. There are, by the way, a ton of people who are incredible performers that you'll find on the likes of TikTok. I follow a ton of rock bands and goth bands and people like that. I follow them on TikTok and they are amazing. They're as good as Oasis, as good as Metallica, as good as Iron Maiden. Maybe not the lyrics, but they're as good. But they'll never see the light of day because you've got the wrong people in charge of music. Do you know what? I followed Ray since she had like 2,000 or 3,000 followers on X. She's got an incredible voice. Amy Winehouse had an incredible voice. But that style that she had, that came from Mark Ronson. She didn't sing anything like that before Mark Ronson came along and said, you need a style, gave her the style. So even she was manufactured. Ray, incredible voice. Adele, incredible voice. But Adele, what is she? She's a singer. She just sings. Tom Jones just sings. I don't put them in the same classification as the Pink Floyds of this world, people like that. Even like U2 before a certain period of time. Rattle and Hum, anything before Rattle and Hum from U2 is up there with everything else. Everything they've done since then is trash. I suppose you have got a few exceptions. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent. The point of the matter is, don't know who Drake is. Don't care who Drake is. If he wants to keep singing about Bitcoin, good luck to the gentleman. I hope he does incredibly well. And Kendrick Lamar, I like Kendrick Lamar, even though I haven't heard him that much. Anyway, this is not a music stream. This is a crypto stream. This week, I'm not expecting a lot to happen, which normally means we're going to break all-time highs. You know what? I thought Bullish Bullet typed Drake's Side of the Moon. That'd be a collab I would love to see. Drake and Pink Floyd performing Drake Side of the Moon. That would be genius. Chili Peppers, yes. If anybody ever tells you that conspiracy theories aren't believed by musicians and stuff like that, go and write down the lyrics to Californication and read them. Californication is like The Simpsons. The Simpsons predict the future. They don't really. They have educated guesses as what's likely to happen. Who's the biggest personality in America that could ever become the president of America? Of course, it was always going to be Donald Trump. So they kind of predict things. But Californication's lyrics are 20 years ahead. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with this thought. Are you ready for this one? The national lotteries of different countries are not there to make people rich. They are made to catch time travelers. That's the thought I'm going to leave you with. National lotteries are created to catch time travelers, because if you went back in time, what would you do? You would win the lottery. So that is my conspiracy theory of the day. Anyway, I better go before I start going off and wear my tinfoil hat again. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks, Simon. Bullish Bull. Villain Bear is in chat. Danny, Mags, thank you all for coming, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. Mike the Time Traveller. If I was the Time Traveller, Villain Bear, I would certainly sort you out in a good way. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.